Picture this. You've just unveiled your ambitious 3-year strategic plan at the all-hands meeting. The slides were crisp, the vision bold, the applause enthusiastic. But 90 days later, practically nothing has changed, except your bleeding budget and your leadership team's collective sigh of exhaustion. If that sounds painfully familiar, you're not alone. Research from Harvard Business Review shows that 67% of well-crafted strategies collapse during implementation. Not because of bad ideas, but because of an invisible disconnect between strategic vision and operational reality. Today we're exposing the one critical blind spot that weakens the other 4 before they even surface. And once you spot it, you can fix it in under a quarter of an hour. Let's dive in. Here's the hard truth. Up to 90% of strategic plans fail, not in dreaming, but in doing. It's rarely the market. It's rarely even a flawed strategy on paper. The real villain is an invisible gap between the executive boardroom whiteboard and frontline reality. In the next 9 minutes, I'll show you exactly why your org chart might be sabotaging your strategy, how your calendar could be sending mixed signals to your team, and the single habit that can flip the odds in your favor, turning that 67% failure rate into a winning proposition. If these Fortune 500 insights are valuable to you, hit that subscribe button now. We break down executive strategies like this every week that actually drive results in today's business world. Strategy is often presented comfortably in PowerPoint decks and executive summaries, but execution, that lives in Slack channels, loading docs, sales calls and server rooms, the daily grind far from the executive suite. When these two worlds drift apart, you get what researchers call trapped information. According to recent studies, only 27% of employees and 42% of managers even have access to their company's strategic plan. Think about that. Nearly 3/4 of your organization is operating blind. Priorities swirl in isolated silos. Middle managers guess what matters. Individual contributors default to the safest metric on their dashboard, even if it doesn't align with strategic objectives. The result? Companies lose trillions annually in wasted effort and missed opportunities. But here's the terrifying part. Most CEOs think they've already solved this with a communication cascade, a glossy PDF and a town hall Q&A. But effective organizational alignment only happens when every employee can answer 3 questions without hesitation. If any layer of your organization stumbles on these questions, congratulations, you've located the invisible fault line undermining your entire strategy. This misaligned line of sight is the classic leadership issue, often causing employees to lose sight of organizational goals and eroding trust in leadership. Why do leaders consistently miss this disconnect? Psychology offers a clue. 87% of executives rate themselves above average at communicating vision and strategy. Yet when you ask their direct reports, fewer than 30% actually agree. That's a massive perception gap. CEOs overestimate clarity because they're wedded to the strategy. They've lived it for months during development. Meanwhile, for the average employee, a new priority lands on their desk every 2 weeks. Faced with this constant churn, they naturally focus on the last thing their boss asked about, or the safest, most immediate metric. Now add modern organizational complexity, matrix structures, dotted line reporting, multiple bosses. Each layer degrades the strategic message, much like a poor phone connection. Layer on operational firefighting, urgent daily crises demanding immediate attention, and you've baked ambiguity into the system. You're asking people to navigate dense fog while simultaneously putting out fires. The issue isn't a lack of intelligence, it's a lack of a clear line of sight. Leaders often suffer from a self-perception issue, believing their communication is crystal clear, when, in reality, it is usually fragmented and inconsistent, creating a profound execution gap. This is the critical leadership issue related to strategy and execution that most CEOs ignore, the failure to bridge the gap between strategic vision and operational reality. So, how do we fix this? It boils down to activating 3 powerful interconnected levers. First, structural alignment. This isn't about redrawing your entire org chart overnight. It's about ensuring every role has one unambiguous North Star metric that rolls uphill and directly contributes to your core strategy. Let's say your strategic enemy is customer churn. Your logistics manager's bonus shouldn't be tied solely to the cost per package. No, it should include a component directly related to churn reduction through on-time delivery or order accuracy. This ensures daily decisions are made with the strategic goal in mind. Misaligned structures and roles are a primary execution weakness, hindering the very execution they're supposed to support. Quick question, which of these 3 levers do you think is missing most in your organization? Drop it in the comments below, and if this framework is helping your strategic thinking, smash that like button to help other leaders find this content. Second, cadence over communication. Forget annual roadshows and lengthy memos that get skimmed and forgotten. Replace them with consistent, high-frequency, low-overhead interactions. Implement 15-minute weekly stand-ups where teams publicly review progress and explicitly match their wins or challenges to the top 3 strategic objectives. This creates rhythm and accountability. Momentum beats memos every single time. It keeps strategy alive, relevant, and top of mind, preventing trapped information from festering in silos. Third, delegated clarity. When you hand off any work stream, project, or task, you must finish the sentence. Success looks like. Define it with concrete numbers, specific dates, and tangible customer evidence. Anything less is wishful thinking dressed up as empowerment. Poor delegation, where instructions are unclear, is a significant weakness in execution. It leads to confusion, rework, and micromanagement. Empowering teams means giving them crystal clear targets, not vague directions. Let me give you a real-world example. Take Parker Hannifin's industrial division. 5 years ago, despite having technically superior products, truly best-in-class engineering, they were steadily losing market share. Internal processes were clunky, delivery was inconsistent, and their strategic communication was a 40-slide narrative few remembered past the first coffee break. Then a new GM stepped in. Her first bold move? She scrapped that sprawling strategic narrative. In its place, one elegant index card, handed to every single employee, from factory floor to sales team. On it, 2 crystal-clear directives. Win on delivery, 98% on time, 0 defects. That's it. Simple, undeniable, universally understood. Every team had to rewrite its weekly scoreboard and daily metrics, focusing on those 2 numbers. No ambiguity, no guessing. One simple card. One deeply ingrained habit of focused execution. One undeniable result. This is how aligning rolls. Simplifying communication and ensuring a clear line of sight drive dramatic improvements. Business leaders like you are joining our community for weekly strategies exactly like this. If you want to think and act like a Fortune 500 executive, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss these insider insights. Now let's discuss something boards often whisper about but rarely confront, the CEO calendar trap. Here's the reality. When a CEO spends more than 30% of their week in operational minutiae, execution across the organization slows by roughly the same proportion. Your presence inadvertently becomes a bottleneck. Teams wait for your nod before they feel empowered to move forward. This over-involvement in operational details is a significant leadership issue. CEOs acting more like COOs, losing sight of strategic, long-term vision. The antidote? Ruthless calendar triage. Split every incoming request into 2 buckets. Does this fundamentally change the asset allocation of the firm, or does it just make me feel useful? If it's the latter, delegate it with clear instructions, or delete it entirely. Instead, allocate at least half a day per week for environmental scanning, including deep-dive customer calls, thorough competitor analysis, and supplier feedback. This is where updated assumptions about your market come from. Updated assumptions are the lifeblood that keeps strategy alive. Another silent killer. Organizational drag. Research from Bain shows that every additional layer in the hierarchy adds roughly an 8% delay to decision-making. 8%. Yet when growth stalls, the instinct is to add another steering committee, another approval layer. More bureaucracy. Do the opposite. Ruthlessly strip out any approver who isn't adding unique expertise or fulfilling non-negotiable legal compliance. Replace multiple sequential gate reviews with a single red team session where dissent is mandatory, not just allowed. Look at Spotify with their autonomous squads of 6 to 12 people, or higher with their innovative micro-enterprises, over 4,000 self-managing units of 10 to 15 people, each with full P&L responsibility. These giants prove you can scale to billions in revenue with agile, autonomous cells. Complexity is a tax you choose to pay, a subscription you willingly sign up for. My advice: cancel that subscription, simplify processes, reduce organizational drag, and empower smaller, self-sufficient units. Ready to tackle this oversight? Here's a pragmatic, high-impact 30-day sprint plan creating measurable momentum. Week 1. Map every role to one strategic metric. If you can't draw a clear line from a role's output to a strategic goal, either delete that role or redesign it to serve a strategic purpose. Week 2. Cut one layer of approval in a key decision-making process. If it makes you nervous, you're probably doing it right. This directly addresses organizational drag. Week 3. Institute a weekly, 15-minute team stand-up cadence and publish your one-card narrative. Your crystal-clear top priorities. Get it into every employee's hands. Week 4. Launch a 5-question SMS pulse survey every Friday. One crucial question. I can directly link my work to customer value this week. Yes or no? Share aggregate results openly every Monday morning. By the end of 30 days, you'll have replaced vague momentum with measurable momentum. Most firms implementing these changes see a 15 to 20% increase in critical metrics, such as on-time delivery or churn reduction, within a single quarter. Why? Because speed compounds. Ultimately, strategies fail not in the thinking, clever analysis, or brilliant insights. They die in the doing, when structure, cadence, and clarity drift apart, creating that invisible fault line between vision and reality. The key is spotting this pervasive leadership blind spot, this misaligned line of sight, and deliberately, systematically closing it with clearly aligned metrics for every role. Ruthless calendar discipline freeing you to lead strategically. Real-time feedback loops give you an honest pulse. Do that, and you don't just tweak your chances, you fundamentally shift the odds from a 67% failure rate to a 70% win rate almost overnight. Your people want to win. They just need an unambiguous scoreboard that connects their daily efforts to the bigger picture. Build that scoreboard, publish it, and fiercely defend its integrity. The rest takes care of itself. Before you implement these strategies, help other leaders discover these insights. The frameworks we just covered are exactly what separates successful executives from everyone else. Hit like if this strategy execution framework was valuable. Subscribe for more Fortune 500 insights that actually work, and share this with the CEO or senior manager who needs to see it. Which lever will you activate first? Structural alignment, cadence over communication, or delegated clarity? Drop it in the comments and join the community of leaders transforming their execution with these weekly strategies.
This is the C-Suite Playbook, where Fortune 500 strategies meet actionable insights. Your competitive advantage starts here.